The sun had barely begun to rise, and the house was quiet. The soft hum of the morning was broken only by the faint rustling of a dog's paws on the wooden floor. It was still early, too early for most people to be awake, but not for Rocky. Rocky wasn't like most dogs. He was a sleek, black and white border collie, sharp-eyed and quick to notice the smallest details. He'd been part of the family long before the baby arrived, and though he didn't quite understand why there was now a tiny human in the house, he was determined to protect her as fiercely as he had protected his humans for years. The baby, Mia, slept soundly in her crib, tucked in a cocoon of soft blankets. She had been born just a few months ago, and though she was still too young to understand, there was already a connection between her and Rocky. He would spend hours sitting quietly by her crib, watching her as she slept, his tail wagging gently when she cooed or smiled in her sleep. But this morning, things were different. Mia stirred in her crib, the soft whimpers escaping her lips. She was starting to wake up, but something was wrong. Her blanket was tangled around her tiny legs, and she couldn't kick it free. It was the kind of thing that might go unnoticed for a few minutes, but to Rocky, it was urgent. Rocky's eyes narrowed, his ears perked up, and without a second thought, he moved to the crib. He gently pawed at the edge of the wooden frame, his claws tapping rhythmically. He scratched the crib, a little louder this time, not out of mischief, but out of necessity. Down the hallway, the sound reached Mia's parents, who were just starting to stir. The scratching was loud enough to rouse them, and they both blinked sleepily at each other. "Rocky, what are you doing?" Mia's mom murmured, half awake. "I told you not to scratch the crib." But just as she was about to get up, the soft whimpering grew louder, more insistent. She squinted at the baby monitor and saw Mia's legs tangled in the blanket, her little face scrunched in frustration. "Wait," Mia's dad said, rubbing his eyes. "She's stuck." With a shared glance, both parents rushed into the nursery, and Rocky stepped aside, watching them as they gently freed Mia from the blanket. She settled back down with a sigh of relief, her eyes slowly closing again. "Good boy, Rocky," Mia's dad said softly, ruffling the dog's fur. "You were trying to help, weren't you?" The dog's tail wagged slowly, his eyes full of understanding. His actions had never been about mischief. He'd been trying to help, to protect the baby he had grown so attached to. That was when it hit them both, the realization that Rocky wasn't just the family pet. He was more than that. He was a protector, a loyal guardian of their most precious gift. Over the next few days, they saw Rocky's protectiveness more clearly. Whenever Mia cried, Rocky would sit by her crib, alert and watchful. When she was upset, he would nudge his nose against her tiny hand, offering comfort in the only way he knew how. One evening, as Mia lay asleep in her crib, a storm rolled in. The wind howled outside, and the first flash of lightning lit up the sky. Mia, startled by the noise, began to cry, her tiny sobs echoing in the silence of the night. Rocky's ears perked up immediately. His eyes darted to the crib, and without hesitation, he leapt to his feet. He padded over to the crib, his fur bristling slightly with concern, and gently laid his head down near Mia's feet. His presence, calm and steady, seemed to soothe the baby. Her crying slowed, then stopped, as if she could feel the dog's reassurance. Mia's parents watched from the doorway, amazed. They had always known Rocky was a special dog, but in that moment, they saw how deeply he cared for their daughter. He wasn't just a dog to them. He was a member of their family, and he had proven time and time again that he would always be there when they needed him. The next morning, as the sun rose and the storm had passed, Mia's mom walked into the nursery. She smiled at the sight before her, Rocky, still sitting by the crib, watching over his little charge. "You've really got her back, huh, boy?" she whispered, scratching him behind the ears. Rocky's tail thumped gently against the floor as he glanced up at her, his eyes calm and wise. He knew his job wasn't done. He would protect this baby, this family, no matter what. He would always be the silent guardian in the background, watching over them with quiet devotion. And so, from that day on, Rocky became known as not just the family dog, but the family protector. He wasn't just a pet. He was the one who ensured the safety of the ones he loved, always watching, always listening, always there. As Mia grew, so did their bond. Rocky was always there for every milestone, every laughter, every tear. They grew up together, a perfect team, and Rocky's loyalty was never in question. He had started scratching the crib that day because he knew something was wrong. But in the end, he had taught them all something even more important. That sometimes, the most loyal hearts don't need words to speak. They show their love through their actions.